Welcome to Bonehead Weekly. And you might be wondering why we look like we're long haul truckers. Well, two of us do. Chad, what's your problem? Why do you have a trash? Is that a trash panda?
This is a Rocket City Trash Panda hat.
Where's
Yes,
Rocket City?
near Huntsville, Alabama.
I was figuring
Uh,
Huntsville. Yeah, Huntsville would make sense. They got that big rocket when you first cross into the state.
well, I've been there. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Not to see you though.
No, God, no. Nobody, I wouldn't even come to see
Since
me.
this is our year, the end of the year. I haven't been drinking, but
Take two.
yeah, since this is the end of year end show, I haven't. This
And
for
by the way, for our podcast listeners, since Joe's just going to skip right by it, I am listening. They are wearing Bonehead Weekly hats.
Yes,
well,
yes.
I was about to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was leading to that about
I
if
apologize.
it's okay if I have a glass of port. And then well, our wonderful friend this year wasn't able to make the party. So Chad got us these wonderful Bonehead Weekly hats. And what I'd say is if you can switch over, if you're listening to us, switch over to YouTube and check them out. You can order them. We will have a link up to how you would be able to do that. I don't know how any of that works. I'm making a promise that I've not even
Oh no, I can do it. We can get it set up. I'll be honest. I got it set up once for shirts and everything, and I just never clicked the publish button.
So one of the things for the new year that we're going to do a better, there's two things. One, I will take complete ownership of doing a better job of promoting. Two, I think all three of us should own a little bit about not having like, oh, you want to order something that says Bonehead on it?
Yeah.
Well, we're what,
I
eight
don't
years
think
into
I'm going
this?
to own all that one.
Are we 8, 10 years into this? Where are we?
7 and
120,000
a half
years?
years.
7.5 years into this. It's about
July will be
time.
8 years.
It's about time we give the fans something to enjoy.
The
All I
fan.
can say is I have been looking for several years for a company that would make a good hat, and I think I did a pretty good job this
Yeah, yeah, no,
They
this is
are.
honest.
They are. I'm telling you, I had at least five different Smokies try to stop me.
Well, and by the way, if you're watching, you may notice mine still. I kept the bill straight because I'm trying to do it like the youth to do it.
Do they do that?
Yeah, oh yeah, you flat cap it, flat. You
Which
want
I will
flat.
never. I don't care.
I
I
don't.
know
I
I
don't
am
understand
old.
it.
Honestly, I hadn't
I don't
touched
understand it.
mine, but when I went to get it and that's the first thing I
Yeah,
did when it
Oh yeah,
came
I'm
no,
down
I
here.
agree.
It
I
was the
am
first
old.
thing I
I
did.
have to have my bill bent. I cannot have it
Oh no,
straight. It
I
just
agree. And
drives
mine
me
will eventually. I
crazy.
just because it's new, I wanted to do it this way once. But yes, but after this is over, you will. I will do it. But yes, yeah, no, the youth today, several of them do it that way, and I don't know why.
The Utes.
And
Youths.
another big supporter of our show is the Scarefest weekend, and we love Brandon and Nicole. Brandon texted me earlier. I think he may have gotten us hats as well. So
Oh well.
that's I haven't. He said, "Why don't you come over and get them later?" I'm making cornbread, and then sent me a picture of like three cast iron skillets of cornbread,
Did
which
you
I
text
get
back?
one. And props, Breathitt County got it right. He was putting it in a cast iron skillet.
Yeah,
James, I'm not going to look
yeah,
at James. I chatted on this one, but for James, right?
yeah.
Chad, you love your cornbread.
I do.
He also has bourbon.
Mm,
I don't see how this could go poorly.
no.
No.
Did you say poorly or portly? It sounded like you said portly.
Oh, I can go portly. I've been doing portly for, I used to just be fucking morbidly obese. Now you might say fat or portly. So that's good. We got that to look forward to in the new year. I
Yeah.
said, well, I'm recording at 9. He goes, well, don't worry about it. We're having family movie night. Don't come now. Make a cornbread, make a memories.
I had my movie night earlier today. I introduced the kids to Alita Battle Angel, and they loved it.
I haven't seen it since it came out.
So this has been. I know we need to get back on topic, but this has
Why?
been over our Christmas break. I have been introducing them to. Now I know Alita technically isn't a movie classic, but I've introduced them to my cousin Vinny. Thank God they loved it.
How'd you do they repeat everything though with the language?
No, they know better. They know
They
what
know better till they get to school.
No, they don't do it at school either. I know they don't. But my cousin Vinny, what else? I'm blanking on the other classics. But then I showed them Son-in-Law and Alita Battle Angel, which I know
Oh,
Alita.
okay.
Joe,
You had me up till son-in-law.
before you say anything, it's his best movie.
I tried watching it a while back. because I realized I'd shit on the man for years and
And it
never
has
really watched most of it.
and it has Carla Gugino and Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
I didn't make it through it.
Hey, babe.
Unfortunately, he is just as annoying as he was then.
Oh God, yeah, he's annoying. But Carla Gugino is very talented, and she carries that movie.
Which leads me to I got a chance to go see probably the most anticipated horror film of this year.
It was if you go back, if long-term listeners, you may remember this. If you go back and listen to what I was looking forward to
Oh,
at
that's
the
what
end
it was.
of 2023, it was this, and I didn't get to go today. So
Yeah, I didn't get to go to. I plan on going next week.
So this is the day I could go, and I went, and it was almost sold out. There wasn't a ton of tickets. And I thought, well, 12, surely. And it didn't start at 12:20. I don't want to talk too much about it because it is Dracula. Okay. For everyone out there, if you don't know, Murnau ripped off Dracula because he couldn't get the rights to
yeah,
Dracula from the Stoker
that
estate.
widow.
Yeah.
And he just called it Nosferatu and changed the names. That's the simplisticest version as I can give. The other
Yeah.
two want to add anything to that.
Right. But
Guess why Shadow of the
it's still not
Vampire?
a faithful adaptation, right?
Of the original,
Of the novel.
in a way, and that's actually the compliment I'm going to give it. Almost every shot in that movie is a beautiful painting. Although, I will have to say, I laughed out loud several times. I don't know that I was supposed to because they embrace it completely. But I will say, he is the first person, and boys, I want you to, he's the first person. What's his name again? The director?
Eggers, Robert Eggers.
Robert
right?
Eggers. He's the first person, and what you were talking about, Chad, to me, and this isn't giving too much, to actually remain faithful to what Dracula looked like in the novel.
Which I still haven't seen what he looks like in this movie, and I'm kind of excited about that because I want to wait till I see him in the theater.
Right. Well, it's not. I. Th- well, can I give you one thing, or you
Yeah,
don't want to
no,
know
it's
anything?
fine. It's fine.
In the novel, James, it's been a long time since I read it, but one
I
of
know
the
he's
things
like absolutely hideous in the novel.
yes, and he has a big Hungarian mustache.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Which would have been the style of the time.
Robert Eggers, I'll give him credit,
Did it? Well, and by the way,
but and
really,
I like the movie. I just I fall somewhere in between of it wasn't so slow it drove. So this is what I've seen on my feed. It's a modern masterpiece. It was so horrific. It scared me. It's Robert Eggers' masterpiece. I don't think that. I think it's pretty good. I like parts of it. It's a little that they embrace it a little too much with the language, so sometimes it's just funny. And if you've seen the memes of Lily Rose Depp with her eyes rolling back about all the orgasms memes, it's you shouldn't. It is funny. It's just funny, but it also isn't the slowest damn thing I've ever seen in my life either. It just builds.
Yeah. It's kind of
well,
well like Northman builds. The Northman build.
Chad, honestly, I feel about it the same way I almost did the Northman.
Which I'll be honest with you, and I know we don't agree with this. I just realized my daughter's sequin pig is behind me on my feet in my video. Side the point. Like Northman was my favorite movie of the year that it came out. I absolutely love that film, and I know you have a complete disagreement with me on that
I
one.
think it's okay. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful picture, but I'm never invested in it in a way. I'm not invested, and I think that's probably kind of close to I wasn't invested. In fact, she brings upon a lot of misery for people.
Yeah,
The lady.
real quick, I just want to say one thing going back to the original
which is probably her in
Nosferatu.
real life too.
Nicholas Holt
Oh,
is actually my favorite actor in the movie. Him and Bill
um,
Skarsgård.
uh, the real quick going back to the original Nosferatu. If you've not read Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, the original Nosferatu deserves credit because the killing power of the sun comes from Nosferatu. It's not in Bram
That's
Stoker's Dracula.
exactly right.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Because
not
Bram
from
Stoker,
Dracula the book.
because that's the one thing Francis Ford Coppola's kind of gets right is the sun doesn't kill him, it just weakens him.
Yes.
And as long as he's well fed, he can take the sun to a certain extent. It just weakens him over time.
I want to say there was an article, and I couldn't read it because it clearly said, "Do not read this because there are clear spoilers." But the Guardian had a whole thing about why there has yet to be a complete faithful adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I need
And
to
I was,
read it.
yeah,
The other interesting thing is because of the Spanish flu, when the original Nosferatu came out, uh, there you got to look at it, and James, you appreciate this, Dr. Jerkface, of the historical. Well, look at it, what was going on at that moment.
hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Notice he said you would appreciate that, not
Well,
me.
you like if it's a oh God. Anyway, it's the same. There is
Me who
there's
listens to nothing but history
Hold
podcast
hold
all
hold
the
on.
time.
Let me flip this around. Let me actually try to help Joe. This will be the only time this happens. Well, one of us did write an award-winning thing about the Spanish flu. Go ahead, Joe.
But who listens to podcasts about the Spanish flu? But that's okay. I don't care. I'm not just going to sit over here and suck.
I read articles. I had to research for years.
I can't read, so I'm just taking you all at your word,
And he's deaf.
huh?
Oh, and he also is mute, which makes this podcast really weird.
It does. It's and if it sounds like I just don't think I think that's a good way to put it. I wasn't really invested in. Same way with Northman. Beautiful movie. I
Yeah,
just
and
wasn't
see, I
invested.
love Nordic culture, so that's another reason why I enjoyed
And
it.
I get it, but were you invested in their?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I don't. I still say his best movie is The Witch.
that's why I said it was my favorite movie of that year.
Oh, by the way,
I heard you.
I do think I pretty much will follow Eggers anywhere because of The Witch. In that,
And
not
this is a
only did
beautiful
he
movie, guys.
not
I'm telling
only
you.
Well, you can
but
see that from the trailers. It looks stunning.
but not only, and what I want to say is not only, and the reason I said The Witch will always have me going, let's see what he's going to do, because he not only directed it, he wrote it. And when you can write something and direct it and it come out and not come across as, I don't want to say egotistical because that's not the word I'm looking for, but not to that. And The Witch is just a experience.
It is.
And I
And
I
I
actually
don't, and
used
it
it
has one
as
of my favorite ending. He still hasn't given me the ending that he gave me for The Witch.
no, it's but it I think that ending works so well in The Witch, and I know we're supposed to be talking about 2024, but I think the reason The Witch ending works so well is because it's completely logical.
Yeah.
What choice does she have? She can't go back to the town that kicked her family out and say, I killed them all, or they're all dead. Don't worry about it. Just let me back in. She can't do that.
She
Her
has to
only
live
choice,
deliciously.
yeah, her only choice is to embrace that which is bad
Actually,
or
this is,
is
if you
bad
don't
for
mind,
sure.
the last thing I'll say about it. It sounds like I was crapping on Lily Rose Depp. She's not. She's a really good actress. She does things with her body, and I'm not being funny in this, to where and a lot of it is played for possession, like an act, like The Exorcist kind of thing.
Hmm.
And people who shit on her and her performance, they shouldn't. The things she does had to hurt. And a couple of people talked about the over performance of Willem Dafoe. I didn't see that at all. I didn't feel that at all. In fact, he's probably my favorite character in him and Nicholas Holt. Nicholas Holt's an idiot, but so there's just it's I don't know. I just don't feel
I
like it was his
haven't
best.
having not seen it yet, Joe, but I will. I'm hoping to next week before I have to leave. But is it akin to the possession type scenes you're talking about? Is it akin to, oh, and I'm blanking on her name. She was in Dexter, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yes, not
Okay,
quite,
Jennifer Carpenter.
not
thank you.
quite there, not quite there, but close. And another thing, there's just not a cathartic ending to it. But God, it's so pretty. It's just so pretty. So pretty. And it's doing okay. And it was, and I don't know if you all know this or not. You know, one of the producers is Chris Columbus.
Mm-mm.
Chris Columbus. So it was really off-putting when Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci showed up about two-thirds through it.
I was going to make a Harry Potter reference, but I'm glad you went that way.
Yeah, well, I've had to watch Home Alone 1 and 2 at least, if not two, three times during the break.
I escaped that this year, thank God.
I have not. And then I realized when I was introducing him to Uncle Buck, like you were introducing your kids to other classics, that my son may very well be close to Kevin McAllister without all the ingenuity.
Oh, I don't know. Give him a chance. Tell him you want him to rig your house with traps.
Traps.
Leave for an hour, see what it's like when you come back.
That or paint the
It'll
wall.
just be him at the door with the butcher knife.
So
Streamline.
do we want to start with talking about some of our favorite movies? Who wants to go first?
Sure.
Not everyone at once.
I mean, I can't. And to be honest, I'm not doing just movies as I always do.
No, I don't. I don't
No,
either.
I
There's
got
a
I got
series I want to talk
movies.
about.
I got movies and I got TV shows.
So,
Well, I can go.
yeah, go ahead.
I don't have a favorite movie, and I don't have a favorite movie this year. And I hate that I just saw this 2 weeks ago, and I don't know that I'll rewatch it. But the movie that maybe had a lot of impact on me and it just depressed me, and there is zero. I'm trying to think of the word. What is it when you feel affection for some or like, oh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But it isn't in it at all. It was Civil War. Alex Garland's Civil War was rough. I was just waiting for somebody
I
to.
have not seen it because like
I
we had this discussion
I know. I was
big
just wondering if
podcast.
maybe somebody'd seen.
No,
It's
it's
so tough.
this year has been particularly rough for many reasons.
Sentimentality, the word I'm looking for. There is zero. So if you ever watch Martin Short and Steve Martin's show, and they'll both talk about it in interviews, there's zero sentimentality in their shows.
Yeah.
There's no sentimentalism. There is zero in Civil War. And it's not even, there's some graphic scenes in it, and there's some decently rough scenes, but I've seen way worse. It's not Martyrs, it's not Schindler's List, but I don't know if it's just the year has sucked. I mean, don't get me wrong, my kid's healthy, thank God, and all that, but or if it's just the world we live in, but it seems so true. It doesn't seem at all like this is science fiction or this is improbable. It all seems extremely probable to me.
I'll
Yeah.
be honest, Joe. That's why I haven't watched it
Mm-hmm.
because I saw
I
him.
had to watch Archer. I told you all we talked about it on Big Movie, a Good Movie Monday, but I had to watch Archer afterwards just to kind of just kind of bring me out of the funk.
Well, and I'll be honest because I saw him on. He was doing an interview, and it may have been Colbert, it may have been, but I just and they were interviewing Alex Garland, and he made the comment. Um, the interviewer, and I think it may have been Colbert, said, "You do a great job of not taking sides in this, like not making it politically obvious that you're this way or that way."
That is true.
And he said, "You don't have to, because when it happens, it's not going to be. You're not going. There's no side to take. The action itself is miserable.
Yep.
Watching a great idea fall apart is miserable." And I watched that interview, and I know this is not the response he wanted that interview to have, but I was like, I've got to be in a certain headspace. It's kind of to me like sitting down watching Oppenheimer. It's beautiful. It's a great film. Great film. Great film. You got to be in a certain mindset to watch it. Schindler's List. Those type of films have an impact on me that it takes me days to shake. And once he said that, I'm like, there's not a doubt in my mind that it's a great film. But I've
It
just not been in the
it
mindset to where
is,
I can watch it. I can't watch
guys.
it right now.
I mean, and there's clearly allusions to Trump and other things, but it's just little sidebars because it's not a huge movie. It's a smaller movie, and he does it quite well. He uses everything he needs to tell that story. And I won't go into the story. I want you to watch it, but little things like, well, where's your mom? Well, they're in Montana, or they're on the ranch, or what are they doing? Well, they're ignoring it. Problem. And I bet that happened during the Civil War too. If you weren't actually, because life went on, right? Commerce still happened during the Civil War. The milk still had to be delivered. And if you weren't in the I don't know, if you weren't in the
There,
middle of Antietam, it probably wasn't as affecting you as much.
there, there is a great book, and I'm going to be an
Am
academic
I
nerd for
right,
a second.
guys?
No, I was about to
And
say
it's a lot like that. And when you watch Civil War, you're going, oh, and there's certain towns that just completely ignore it.
well, I was going to say, and that's you bring up a great point, and I'm going to make an academic nerd comment. But if people are really interested in this type of conversation, there is a great book called Persistence Through Peril, and it's a actual history of universities during the Civil War.
Hmm.
And some universities closed, but others literally would be like, "Oh, it focuses on institutions in the South, which, if you know your Civil War, when the North would march through, they would burn things and things like that, which was an appropriate tactic at that time period. That
Hmm.
being said, we're gonna, we're having classes as normal, but the North is probably going to be here tomorrow. So tomorrow, those of you that want to, grab your
Right.
guns and go. But then once you're done, come back and we'll go back to having class. And so the point you're making is absolutely right, because when you read a history like that that shows that for a majority of people,
Hmm.
things kind of just ticked on, and it would be like, oh, it's getting close to us. All right, we're gonna have to do something.
You're
But
going to have to
until it
escape. You
does,
may have to go to your
yeah,
neighbors. You may have to go to your in-laws, but it's just
yeah.
not.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that because I think your point's really valid, and it's important because that is historically accurate as well.
Yeah, it just and certain side. Oh God, he's right. There's just no sentimentality. The president is a nut job who doesn't want to relinquish power, but it doesn't explain it. It just kind of comes out through natural dialogue because Alex Garland. It's Alex Garland, and just saying something because I liked a couple of his movies a lot. It probably is his best film. It's a hell of a lot better than Men was. I didn't particularly care for Men, which is his horror film that came out last year. But it's a good movie. Can I recommend it? Yeah, but I wouldn't, it shouldn't be Friday night at your with your kids. Who's next? Chad, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. Sorry, I didn't know my mic was off. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna start at my top pick. I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. Um, I want to talk about a movie that's exclusively on Netflix. It is called um, The Shadow Strays. It is an Indonesian action flick. Give me 2 seconds because I do not want to butcher this guy's name. I want to hear it one more. Timo Chayanto. Um, he is a he is a great Indonesian director. He's mostly directed Indonesian films such as Headshot, The Killers, an amazing film if you guys haven't heard of it called The Night Comes for Us. Have you all heard of that one?
Is it a horror film is it?
No, it is a horror. It is an action film thriller.
I
It
haven't
has
seen
a
it.
it has a lot of the same as Headshot. It has a lot of the stars from The Raid.
Oh, okay.
Um, also, The Big Four, which is a comedy action film. But you guys would know him from some of his segments on VHS 2 and 4,
Hmm.
The ABCs of Death. He did segments for those. But the Shadow Strays came out this year, and it is an action film about these assassins who are trained. They work for this, secret society, and they have to follow these specific rules. And it's about this 17-year-old assassin who is basically forced to go. Um, she messes up and is forced to go into what's the word I'm looking for? She's suspended, essentially.
Into some sort of asylum or some sort of
Yeah, so she's living in
banished.
a banishment for a certain period of time, and she's living with normal society, and she uh, befriends this child who's lost his mother in a violent murder, and swore to protect him. And that's all I want to say about it. Because I want to tell you guys this is not a happy film. None of his films, with the exception of the Big Four, are happy. They're all pretty. Um, Now, it's not depressing in like the Civil War depressing. It's not like you want to go and just tear your hair out, but they don't have happy endings. Um, but it is a good storytelling, and it has a lot of great action scenes. I highly recommend it. I always have one action film. There is another one on my list, but James is going to say it, which I'll just go. That's my other one on my top list. But I wanted to mention The Shadow Strays again. It's on Netflix. It came out in October. I highly recommend people checking it out. Um, I honestly, I know America makes some good action films, but I honestly don't think America, in a lot of ways, comes close to any action films that are made in South Korea and Indonesia, in my honest opinion.
Well, they just take so much time to do them, and it's not CGI, don't you
I
think?
agree. Yeah. Um,
I mean, it's like Kong versus X. I enjoy it, but at some point it's a cartoon.
yeah. And South Korea and Indonesian action films are just it's art in a way, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you.
So yeah, that's my third pick for my top films of the year. James, what do you got, man?
Did you call him Babe?
No, I said man.
Since you
I
all have,
had while you were talking about Civil War, for some reason ate three of these very terrible Godfather bourbon fudges.
I would eat a Godfather
I
bourbon
had them
fudge.
I had
I
them
know I saw them and I
out.
didn't. I thought about getting one and I didn't.
They're not good, and
Well,
now I've made myself sick.
I actually didn't know what it was, and nobody else was touching them at the Bonehead weekly Christmas party. So I just
Ugh.
So you all started on a depressing note. I wasn't going to, but I think I am going to now because this
Mine technically
well, pull us out of it.
didn't end on a
no,
depressing
I'm
note.
I'm not going to pull you out of it. It's not depressing. And it's not a movie.
I will say the twist at the end of The Shadow Strays, if you know your Indonesian action stars, you're sitting there going
You got me beat when it comes to Indonesian action stars.
I'm going to talk with somebody that
and
was
Spanish flu history.
that
I mean, yeah, but I mean, do you have James beat? That's what my
No,
point,
no, I
really.
don't.
the
That was the
but
whole point.
I'm going to start
Because
with
I listened about people dying of horrible illnesses for fun.
I do it for
Yeah, I don't know
scholarship.
which you're both. Hold on, let me quote James in this one. Don't worry, both of you calm down. You're both horrible, horrible people.
Yeah. No, I'm
Joe,
going to start.
are you messing with your stamp collection over there or something?
Basically, I was waiting
He's
for you all to say something funny. Keep going, James.
he's a well-known philatelist. Also, he likes
Oh my
sand.
God, I don't even know. I couldn't even spell that.
No, so I'm going to start with the book, because and we were going to. I reached out to this author to have him on the show. It was going to work out, and then he had to go to France, and quite frankly, it's been really hard to pin him down and get a schedule that works. And
Was it a
get,
Polanski kind of had to go to France?
no, he's far too talented. And matter of fact,
Polanski is pretty
Stephen
talented.
Stephen King won, but he was nominated for one of the best horror novels of the year for Goodreads. Stephen King, if Stephen King has a book out, usually wins those. But he was nominated. He made the list, and you've heard me talk about him before in the show. But his book this year was House of Bone and Rain, Gabino Iglesias. Um, Let me tell you why I'm more and more a fan
Wait, did
of
James
this.
just skip the movie section and go into a book?
Yep.
I told you,
Well,
we're
I
a
know,
pop
but
culture
we could
podcast.
have
Y'all keep
broken
doing
out.
movies.
You mess with my OCD
This
every single
this
time. We talk about movies, then you can talk
shouldn't that
about
be
your
CDO?
books.
So it's
You
in
really
alphabetical order.
have OCD?
No, but
It
he's
should be
still
CDO. Put it in
You
alphabetical
have
it
order.
is
lots of problems. I've known
it's
you longer
still
than anyone, but I don't
it
know that
bugs
you're
the hell
OCD.
out of me when he goes out of order.
Hold on, hold
Oh,
on,
there's other things
hold
that
on,
bother you way
hold
worse
on,
than that he
hold
does.
on, hold on. See, Chad, a book is like a movie for your mind.
I think this bothers me worse than when he's late. He just goes out of order and it just messes with my brain.
Well, you
I don't
get
have too
more
many movies.
angry when he's
I
late.
don't have too many movies I'm going to talk about. No, House of Bone and Rain, gentlemen. I became a fan of Mr. Iglesias, with
Bone and rain.
See, my dog knew that I'm out irritated, so she came over here to love on me. See your tail wag.
uh with Coyote Songs, which I've talked about before, has the only scene I've ever read that gave me nightmares that woke me up from a dead sleep. Just phenomenal writing, phenomenal. What I've realized with this is his third full length novel. He's written tons of short stories too. Um, he writes reviews for the New York Times and stuff as well. Just a phenomenal talent. But The House of Bone and Rain has really cemented something in my mind. There are creatures, monsters, if you will, in every single one of his books. And they are the villains, but they're not the real villains. It's always human. It's always human. So yes, there's the in The Devil Takes You Home, which was the book that came out last year, he did. There's these creatures that, they're running drugs underneath the border, and there's tunnels, and there's these creatures that occupy the tunnels. And do you read about that in the book? Yes. Who ultimately causes the most mayhem, the most harm, the most damage to these to the community? It's people. And what's really fascinating about it is it's all people. And what I mean by that is, in The Devil Takes You Home, the guy gets basically forced into that life again because his daughter has cancer and she dies, and he still has to pay the bills. This is set during a hurricane.
It's called a hurricane.
I'm sorry, a hurricane.
Thank you.
And it's set in the Puerto Rican slums, and a guy's mother was murdered. She was a minor drug dealer. They kill her, and he wants revenge. And the hurricane's coming. It's going to be the worst one. They're going to lose power. And the arrival of the hurricane happens pretty early in the book.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, though, all these creatures that are in the storm. What I think makes me love this book, and I'm hoping I can still get him to do our show eventually, because I want to ask him a question. He writes heavily about people that are from Puerto Rico, from south of the border, from all these historically marginalized groups, and he talks about the frontier being the border and all of that stuff. But what I find fascinating is there's a scene in this book that has nothing to do with monsters. It has to do with what it means to be a person from a location. And it struck me so hard because it's the same debate that we have about Appalachia. One of the characters says, I can't leave here because that would be abandoning it. And if it means something to me, I shouldn't abandon it. And the other characters are like, you're holding yourself back because you won't leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's worded way better in here. But I thought, how amazing is it that a book about monsters in a storm and revenge and somebody wanting vengeance for the murder of their mother and all this about poverty and drugs and what it means to escape to America proper also has these scenes in it where what does it mean to be loyal to an area? What does it mean to be loyal to an idea or to want to bring an area up? And what are you willing to sacrifice to make that area better? And it's in a quote unquote horror novel.
Mm-hmm.
It plays on me so well. I must admit, Coyote Songs is the one that I would recommend to anybody to start with because it is just brutal and beautiful. But House of Bone and Rain may be one of the best books I read this year. I haven't even reviewed it for Goodreads yet because I actually went back and started reading it again because I was like, oh, I need to play around with this some. If you look, I've got pages marked in my copy here because I keep going back to it and going, there's something there. So anyway, so just sorry to ruin the flow, Chad, but House of Bone and Rain may be one of the things that preyed on my
It's
mind.
okay. You just ruined my birthday.
And it's
I
no, I've got
mean,
other ways to do that. Have
we've
you
got
had
a few
Joe?
days before that happened.
Have you had Joe as a stripper, Graham? Yet you will now. Anyway,
We've been friends
what's wrong?
We've been friends for over 20 years. Yes,
What's
numerous
wrong with
times.
it? What's wrong with it?
Too much lube.
There's never such a thing.
I just don't know. I didn't know you and P Diddy shopped at the same place. Anyway, timely.
God.
Hashtag 2024.
There's too much lube and drywall cost way too much.
House of Bone and Rain. There you go. That's one of my 2024 recommendations. If you haven't checked it out yet, you should. It'll work on you. It may not seem like it will for a while. Once you get into a rhythm, though, you'll find yourself thinking about it. There.
Oh.
I started on a depressing note. You happy?
Joe.
Murder and vengeance and death.
All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Chad,
Go look at the chat.
I saw it, but there's two of those though that are not great movies, but I
No.
had such a good time with them. There's two of them. I'm having a hard time picking. Now, one of them slightly more because my kid got to enjoy it with us and all of our
Mhm.
kids, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Can
think
I do
Joe.
two? Can I just do like a
Yeah, go ahead.
nostalgia thing?
I don't
Yes,
care.
it's your pick, dude.
There's
Nobody's
kind
going
of
to judge you.
three that I enjoyed this year that I don't know that they're good movies. They're enjoyable. They're definitely decent B films that just hit the nostalgia. But Chad put Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and I agree. But Bill Murray, when I watched him on a Chad show, goes, "Oh no, it's a big mess. It's a fun, but it's a big mess," and he's right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the live action real Ghostbusters I wanted as a kid.
But it is just kind of a big mess. There's two or three ding things going on. There's several different. They put it all in one bag and got it out. And I wish they kind of waited a little bit and kind of because I think, but it's still a pretty good movie. It's still it's I enjoyed the hell out of it. I've watched it several times. It pisses me off that if you don't pay for the premium Netflix, that you can't watch it. Have you all experienced this yet, or do you all pay for the premium Netflix?
I think we got premium. I think
Yeah.
Dana pays all that noise.
I got it.
Yeah, so I don't do that. So I need to buy it because I went to watch it. He wanted to watch it the other day. The other one, there's two more, and I don't know that either one of them are going. Are either one of you going to say Alien Romulus?
Oh no.
Nope.
But I enjoyed it. I was rewatching it. The only thing that kills me is rewatching it again on Hulu. Is I can't stand Hulu as a service because they put too many ads in it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't seen Alien Romulus yet, and it's not
And
because I
it's
didn't want to. I just too much going on.
and as me and James usually said, it's usually like right in the middle of an intense scene. They usually have to break for the second AIDS commercial, and I'm like,
It's just a terrible, terrible for me service. And
yeah,
I've been trying to finish Cuckoo for the last 3 days, and I'll start it and seems for some odd reason I restart it and 6 minutes into it. Hey, erectile dysfunction.
function. Yeah.
But in the third one that we've not talked about at
Wait,
all.
no, you're doing three?
Well, I want to do a little thing here because I don't think I'm taking another one away from you either.
No,
And you
you're not gonna
all
take.
can feel free to skip me.
There's no chance you're going to take any of my top, but my
Because
top
I,
two.
what I'm going to say is 2024 has a lot of what the last 3 or 4 years have had of those memorabilis and nostalgia. The third one is, and it's not even that I'm a huge fan of the movies, but it was nice watching Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. It's
Yeah,
stupid, but I enjoyed it. I watched it at home by myself on a day when I put it off for months and months and months because I didn't have any desire to really see it. And then once I started into it, I had to finish it.
yeah.
And they all kind of fall into that. Alien Romulus is probably I
Well, it's
don't know.
Alvarez, right? I mean,
Yeah, Fetty. I don't know that it's the best out of the three, but well, I don't know, Chad. You've seen all three. What do you think? That's maybe the better of the three movies.
It's the better of the three, but I had more fun in Ghostbusters.
Yes, that's accurate. Yes, he is right. He's right.
Yeah.
And it's because they've got that down. Even when it's a mess, a fun mess, James is right. It's a real
James is right.
Ghostbusters, huh?
Oh no, never mind. I was confused where you were going. I was so confused. Sorry.
It's the real Ghostbusters. He's right.
Yeah.
It deals with several different things that I've wanted them to deal with. Aging, like James has talked about with other movies, right? That have dealt with
Mhm.
aging. It deals with aging, but it only deals with it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
It deals with building out the world, but it only deals with it for like 5 minutes. It deals with a little history of it, but it only deals with it for 5 minutes. It just, what do you guys think? Another year of going through that writing process of kind of streaming that film down, would it have hurt it? Was
It
you a
may
bit
have.
upset waiting till maybe late, right around Thanksgiving, getting it, maybe 6 months, just something? Especially since this is 2024 and that would have been the 40th anniversary. Did it have to come out in March?
I mean, I don't
All
know.
right, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's
No,
just
no. Listen. I was glad to take the ride, and no,
I like
would-
it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's fun, and they've got it. I'm curious to see where it goes. I don't know if
Yeah.
we'll get another movie. This wasn't a huge hit. Didn't bomb. This wasn't a huge hit. And they clearly are at that they need to get to that Star Trek thing where they spend X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Because I don't
Yeah,
know that the
and now
brand
they're working
grows.
on the animated series, the animated movie, which I don't know where they're going with that one.
I don't know, but I'll be honest. I'll be Netflix. I'll see you when it pops on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. As I was sitting here talking, I was like, oh, those are all three movies that was like, and it's not even so much the Beverly Hills Cop. It was just nice having Eddie Murphy in a stupid action comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I was
For what it
entertained
is,
by it,
Chad, for
but
what it is, it don't get me wrong. It's what it's slightly better than the
part
second,
three,
third one,
third one, yeah.
and probably slightly better than the second one, just simply because it's not as I
It
don't know that
didn't it didn't
second one's
look as it didn't look as shitty as the third one too.
oh God. I watched that after I had surgery 2 years ago, and poor John Landis. Poor John Landis. I don't know what
I
possessed
don't.
him.
I honestly, this year has been a Travis has been a just downright heartbreaking for me because I've actually listened to some stuff about John Landis, and I'm just like, I can't say poor John Landis anymore.
I
That man
Yeah.
is a terrible person.
But just John Landis. Just I don't know who decided there's like, no, don't worry. We'll use the old Cylon robot outfits and we'll just use the ride from Earthquake to Universal and no one will notice.
Yeah,
Sorry. If you've seen Beverly Hills Cop 3,
yeah, it's awful.
it's pretty
I
bad.
saw it when it came out on VHS, and I haven't seen it since. I'll be honest.
Did not
Um,
improve.
so
I didn't think. I didn't think I'd go back to it and be like, no, this was a miss. This is very Jim. I didn't think.
But
And
we
no offense,
also
but
didn't need
tons.
Axel F. But it was nice having it.
yeah,
Well, and listen, sometimes I rewatch stuff sometimes just for nostalgia, and that's fine. Whatever. To quote a friend of ours, Joe, whatever stops you from climbing that bell tower.
That's the damn truth. All right. I didn't mean to take up so much time.
no, it's okay. My second pick, um, for my favorite movie of the year, is a debut film from Weston Razzoli. It's actually his first feature film. Up until this point, he's done a couple of music videos and then other short films. That's all he's ever done, and that's Riddle of Fire. I absolutely love this weird, quirky film about three kids who are just troublemakers who they steal a video game system from the back of a Walmart type store and they go to play it at home and their mother has changed the password on the TV and they want the password to play the video game but their mother is sick and they are trying to coax her out of it but the only way their mother will give them passwords is if they make her a pie. And then they start out on the adventure to no, I'm sorry, to buy a pie, but then the pie is no longer available, and then they have to make it, and then from there it just spirals out of control of how they're trying to get this pie for their sick mother, and it's just and there are plot points like I said that I told this we talked about this in Good Movie Monday. There are plot points that make absolutely no sense in this film, but you got to take it to the point of it's from the viewpoint of these three kids who are little, who are just on the craziest trip of their entire life, trying and they have the wildest imaginations, and it is absolutely just it's a throwback to those early '80s kids films. Um, some of it's like it's kind of a tie into like those old like Saturday morning shows.
Hmm.
It's absolutely amazing. And Weston Rizzoli, it for his first film right out of the gate, I think he nailed it. It kind of went under the radar this year, but it got a lot of critical praise. Um, Now it actually premiered at Cannes in 2023, but it didn't get any kind of release until 2024. So, um, I've been waiting to see it all year, and I finally paid for it on streaming because there is no place where it's streaming like on a streaming service. so you have to rent it. So I did just so I could watch it, and I was not disappointed. I had heard about this film and had been looking forward to it for all year. So I finally rented it, and man, it was great. And again, all the kids, the two kids were actually brothers in real life. Um, I really enjoyed it. That's all I can say about it without giving too much away.
Excuse me.
So, but there's a great scene where one of the kids gets drunk. That's
That's too
so,
bad that you didn't go last because one of my TV things leads into what you just picked.
yeah. And so yeah, I just a Riddle of Fire again. My number one movie of the year again, as James and you both know, nobody ever heard of because it didn't even get a major theatrical release, which was a shame.
But the streaming service, one of them suggested it to me, and someone in this house said, "What in the hell is that?" And I said, "Oh, I've got to watch it." Chad says that's the best movie of the year.
Yeah, I truly loved it.
All right, James,
So yeah,
what's your second pick?
Should I go with the film so Chad won't beat me?
I don't care. I've got a couple of shows I want to talk about. I got one
I
more
have a couple
movie.
shows too.
I've got a
if you
ton
got a
of
don't,
couple shows.
disappointments. If you wanted to do a whole episode about how I was disappointed this year,
Okay. Well, I'll do the one. I'll do a movie, and I'll do the one I talked about on Good Movie Monday. Um, just simply because A, I have a physical copy in my hand, and B, it's man, yeah, I just never get tired of these movies. It's like Sisu, but you do a movie where you're just killing Nazis all day long, and you have my attention. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was some of the most fun I've had in a theater in a long time. It is based on a true story.
yeah, none of the
Um,
real people look anything like these
no,
people.
they show them at the end. They show
Yeah,
you the actual photographs at the end.
I want
But
to see it. When does he rest? When does Guy Ritchie sit down and take a nap?
I don't know. But I'll
In the
be
last
honest.
5 years, has he stopped
I,
working?
I'll be honest. If you may not normally agree with my taste in movie, my wife loves this movie.
I
Like
want to watch it.
anytime it
It just
comes
hasn't been
up,
on a streaming service.
and that's a shame, really, because it came out in theaters. I saw it opening weekend.
same here.
I went to the theater. I was in Mississippi at the time, so the theater down there has a faculty time period, a university time period where you can go and you get a discount, right? And I went, and I literally was like, I want to see something. I just need to see something. I need to get out of the park. And I picked this, and it was the best accidental choice I made. It was not a huge hit at the box office in the States or anything, but it is such a, I mean, the fact it's loosely based on a true story and the actual background to it is they declassified a lot of Winston Churchill's papers that had been confidential. And Churchill basically was getting ready to get forced out of office because they were telling him to just go ahead and surrender. Like his inner circle was saying, you just need to go ahead and surrender. And he basically found one of the worst prisoners they ever had and said, listen, I it won't be sanctioned. If you get caught by the British or the Nazis, you're dead, but you're going to rot in prison anyway. And said, and basically that person said, I can do it, but you've got to let me form my own team. And that's the part of it that is true. And when you see the actual photos of them and you realize they're not huge buff guys, um, it's a great story about, how really close in some ways England came to falling. And it's because of weird actions and it of course wasn't just them. There were 1,000 other actual troops in the field. There were all these things as well. But Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was just some of the most fun I had because it's all about, they go in, they're not sanctioned, they're not, but so they don't even have to play by the quote unquote rules of war. They're there to cause havoc and make sure whatever else happens that they kill as many Nazis as they can. And it's no offense meant to Inglourious Basterds because I love that movie too, but it's a fun version of that. Inglourious Basterds has a lot of ennui in it, and it has a lot of people suffer and nope, they're just killing. They're just killing. It's a lot of fun. I mean, if you're pro-Nazi, it's not fun for you, but for the rest of us, I was literally as close as I've ever came to actually cheering in a theater at just what was going on the screen consistently, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was just some of the most fun I had this year in the movies.
Guys, this has to be a. I'm getting off topic for 2 seconds because I know we got to, we're running a little long. Did anybody hear about what Robert Eggers' next movie may be?
Mm-mm, I have not.
It's a sequel, Labyrinth.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be a sequel to Labyrinth. I thought it was a remake.
Oh wait, new Labyrinth movie. I'm sorry, you're right. And no, it's not on to direct a sequel to the 1986 movie Labyrinth.
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually think that's a. I am now more. Yes, I'm on board for that.
Weird choice, but I'm glad he might be expanding his horizons.
Because Labyrinth is one of those movies that has a lot of people who remember it fondly. Like I remember it fondly, but
Finally,
to
I do
rewatch
too.
it
There's
again,
there's hardly a plot.
Jesus, there's
I
nothing.
just all I can do is hope that any sequel focuses solely on the adventures of Sir Didymus.
He was my favorite character.
Isn't he epic? Like I wanted more Sir Didymus.
And he was barely, and I
I,
had so many fond memories. He's barely in it.
I watched it again and I was like, man, what is he in it? 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Less than that, I think.
He
It's been a long
shows
time since I've seen it.
he shows up, does awesome stuff, and he's almost like Zorro. He's the Zorro of Labyrinth. He shows up, saves the day, rides off into the sunset. We never see him again.
I love Sir Didymus, and yeah, I was like, I watched it. I was like, watching it with the girls. I'm like, son of a bitch. He's like five, like I said, 10 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. And it's just, oh man, Sir Didymus. What? What? That's the movie we need to write. The Sir Didymus origin story.
Yep.
All right,
All right,
my
Joe.
turn.
Yep.
So I review a movie for Scarefest almost once a week. So I watch a lot of crappy horror films. And I was going back and forth. I've been trying to figure out because I didn't really have, and I have a ton of movies that disappointed the hell out of me this year, but I don't have a ton that I loved. And unfortunately, I had to watch this on streaming. I would have loved to have watched it in the theater, but Late Night with the Devil hit everything for me. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I know that third act doesn't work for everybody, but it works perfectly for me. And that actor, David, what's his name again? David Dastmalchian. I don't know how to say his last name.
No, yeah, I mean, but he does it so well. I agree.
It's it just there's a lot of people who have another movie that I know Chad watched too called An Inviolate Nature. There's a lot of people who have that on their top 10, and I don't know why, other than, oh, it's a nifty idea that would have been a good short film.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's made so many
It's a
people's
well-made
lists.
movie. It's not I don't know why. I mean, it's a nifty idea that it made a really good short film
Yeah, it's Friday the 13th from a different perspective.
from the killer's perspective.
Yeah.
Whereas Late Night with the Devil, I think you just have to know certain historical references to it. You have to know what that was like. You have to know the just the craziness of the late 70s, early 80s of everybody afraid that Satanism was going to get their children,
Yeah.
right?
And also late night and also those talk shows.
Those talk shows, it just plays and the ads that run on it and what it would have looked like. And then I read re, the directors and the writers and then the research that they did of no, they had to do it this time because this is when the sweeps were and this would have been what played. It just the research they put into it, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I just knew that world. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm old enough to remember when Geraldo did a special about Satanism and how please turn it off now. Please, make sure your kids are out of the room now. And it was nothing. It was
Yeah.
nothing. It's
It
just
was
Yeah.
nothing.
nothing. Just like
Or well,
D&D
the
caused
the
all these
vault.
problems, Dungeons and Dragons, it's nothing. It's not well, other than it probably gave us Cardi B. I have no idea. That's the first. It gave us who's the one that dates Travis Kelce?
Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yeah, I can remember Travis
You
Kelce.
just confused Cardi B.
No. I didn't get them confused. Cardi B was the first name that came to my mind.
Okay.
I have
But
no idea why. But yeah, maybe the Satanism gave us a 1989 lady. I don't know.
yeah, and we
What's her
talked
name
about this.
again? Jessie Wilson?
Yeah,
Taylor
that's
Swift.
that too, Chet. Joe, whoever you are.
Taylor
Um,
Swift. Maybe it is. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I just
I
did.
I did too. And I've talked to you about this before. I think there was a missed opportunity to do something unexpected there, and I was kind of
It
sad that they
it
went
falls a
direct.
little bit because they don't quite have the money to pull off the third act they want to do in studio.
Well, and I think, and my entire thing is, like I said, and I've told you this before, like I thought what a great twist it would have been, and as my wife and I watched it, um, she actually said, "Yeah, your ending was better." Because I said, I bet if it was me, it would be the Satan himself would have been the skeptic,
Yeah.
because that is give people a reason to doubt, and you're automatically evil.
That's the
Like,
best,
oh
the greatest. It's an old
yeah,
cliche. The greatest
yeah.
trick the devil ever played was convincing people he does not exist.
And I would have ended it with the skeptic being actually the cause of it all.
Yeah.
Because that's compelling to me, whereas it's, oh no, no, that was all set up. That was
Although
all.
I can see where film geeks like ourselves would have been, no, no, you can see that coming.
Oh no, no, I know, but what did happen, I completely saw. You know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
it. There's no way to keep everybody happy. I was just
And
like,
it doesn't
oh, you could
explain
have.
quite everything. It hints at explanations of almost all of it.
Yeah.
But it does not take a hammer and beat you over the head about him
No,
being the
no,
angel
that
of the
that
devil.
club that he's a member of that meets in the woods and whatnot, and yeah, I mean a bunch of that stuff that you could play around with it.
You could
I
play around,
agree.
but it does
I
not
agree.
beat you out of the it beats you over the head with. I just enjoyed it. There was another movie I almost picked, and I was like, no, no, that was the one where I stopped everything and was just doing that. So, Chad,
So
because I know
my
we need to
top,
roll.
yeah, my number one movie of the year, guys. It has to be the like I said again, 2024 has been rough um for many reasons. But so as a result, a lot of movies just didn't rub me the right way. And I've always as Joe said, and Joe said numerous times, and I honestly agree with him on that. I know I give him a hard time when he complains about movies all the time, but he's right that they're just Hollywood just cannot make comedies lately. It's been how many years, guys, since a solid comedy's been released,
We don't do comedies, and we don't stick to endings very well. We don't stick to
right?
the landing very well.
There just has not been really a great comedy in years. But this year, when I saw a solid comedy where I could not stop laughing, and I mean, like every other scene, I was laughing. So it had to make my number one hit this year, and that is Hundreds of Beavers. And for most of the our listeners, they're probably going to go, "What the hell's that?" Because it did not get any kind of promotion this year. It did not hit theaters. It was a small independent film, which I'm still pissed that James told me that it was here in Kentucky. The creators came here and premiered it at the Kentucky,
Didn't
and
know
I
it
was
either.
completely unaware, and I would have been there. I have been aware of this movie for a couple of years, and I have been dying to see it. When it actually became available on streaming, I bought it to rent it so I could finally watch it, and I was not disappointed. And to tell you what Hundreds of Beavers is, and I am going to do the worst job of pitching this film, but I'm going to do my best. Um, so it's all shot, it's live action, but it's shot like a cartoon from the 1930s. And it's about a man who is blown up in an apple cider explosion, a cider explosion, I should say. And he basically creates what is essentially kind of like a nuclear winter, is the best way I could say it. And he's forced to learn how to adapt to this winter um, by becoming a hunter. And he does it in the most comedic, cartoonish way possible. You got to think of the Looney Tunes, Elmer Fudd type way of doing it. And the funny part is, all the animals, the beavers, the rabbits that he are hunting, are people dressed up in mascot outfits. It is the craziest thing you could ever see. And it is pulled off with 100% comedic efficiency. It's one of the most unique films I've seen in years.
I have
Like
every intention of watching it. It's streaming now on a service I have.
it
I
is
can't remember which
streaming,
one.
it is
Prime.
streaming on Prime and Tubi. If you don't have Prime, please go to Tubi. It's available to stream free on Tubi with ads. Um,
And with
so
Prime with ads.
yeah,
Damn
if you don't pay for if you do pay for the Prime with ads, um, but I think with Prime with ads, it's only two breaks. It's the
Yeah, it's
begin.
not bad. The
It's
only
yeah,
service is freaking Hulu. I don't even get
Hulu.
mad at Peacock. I don't get mad at none of them. Just
Yeah,
Hulu.
yeah. Hulu is the only terrible streaming service when it comes to ads. Well, Disney Plus also, if you pay for ads, it's
I don't. I
terrible
have the
too.
ad free of that one, so I don't.
Um, so yeah, but Hundreds of Beavers, guys, I just can't. I don't want to give too much away, other than you will not be disappointed in the visual and the oh my God, help me, guys, physical comedy
Yeah.
that is displayed in this film. It is truly amazing. I have yet to go back and look at the creator's other film. Like it's also on Prime, called Lake Michigan Monster. It's on my to-do list. But I can't tell you all how much I enjoyed this film. In a year that was met with a lot of crap this year for me, this was something that was well needed. I haven't seen a movie like this as original as this since, the Dave Made a Maze or Sorry to Bother You originality.
Hmm.
So it was just amazing. So I highly recommend Hundreds of Beavers. James.
James, your
Oh
last pick.
man. I see. I have problems because there's so much I want to talk about. But I guess I'll talk about a TV show and then I'll do some honorable
Well,
mentions.
I
I can't believe
figured.
he
Well,
didn't mention one of his movies
Well,
because I would have.
I was going to, but we're running out of time, and I want
well,
to. I
I've
want
gone.
to
There's
spend
a
my
couple
time.
of movies. There's a couple of shows I want to mention too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do this as a TV show because it is honestly, as I was thinking, I'm like, what?
Fine, real quick. My other favorite movie of the year was Monkey Man because I thought James was going to
That I
mention
was
it.
going to. That was. It was. Dude, I've got four things left on my
Still
list
need
that I
to
wanted to
watch
talk
it.
about, and we ran out of time. Monkey Man was going to get on. Was going to move to honorable mention because I actually wanted to do this. What has, not to quote a cliched book, but what has actually sparked the most joy in my life? And Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare did that.
Mhm.
House of Bone and Rain, even though it's heavy, did it. And there's a TV show. And I actually went back and started rewatching it and I laughed again. And I think to Chad's point, comedy has gotten really, really hard to make me laugh out loud because everything that's going on in my life and also the older you get, the harder it is to find something
It's
funny about.
hard to laugh.
It's hard to laugh. And gentlemen, when they announced this, I was like, whatever. And then I watched it and I laughed. And now I'm rewatching it and I'm laughing again. I'm catching things I missed the first time. And this is hard for me to believe I'm saying this, but I think the funniest comedy that came out in 2024 was not in theaters, it was a TV show, and it's Ted.
Oh,
Ted,
yeah, I
A hundred
forgot.
Ted,
percent agree.
I
Ted,
forgot that came out in 2024.
Hundred
That would have
percent
been on my
agree.
list.
Ted is. I was rewatching it. If you've not, if you don't know Ted, the movies
Yep.
about the talking bear, Seth MacFarlane, the TV show. I was rewatching it. My favorite line is still, and I've quoted this before on this show, is where they're doing the famous quotes back and forth. Blair and her professor, and Ted sitting there, and finally he goes, "Yeah, yeah." As Ernest Hemingway once said, "I wonder what this gun barrel tastes like."
It's like
But then there's a great scene in the episode where they realize how horrible they make the mom's life at home
mhm.
and she becomes the substitute teacher and the girl makes fun of her and Ted just rips her apart and goes, and we all know that you puke up your lunch every day because we can hear it and blah blah, and just rips her apart till she breaks down and runs screaming from the room, and Ted just looks at her and goes, sorry, we had to do that because we give her his mom a hard time at home. It was, I mean, it's so dark and hilarious. And then
Yeah.
the father's inability to admit anything about homosexuality, where he has the entire scene where he's trying to imply that somebody is homosexual. And he goes through the entire list of what for all you know, he's minty. What do you mean minty? He's raking his leaves at night. What does that even mean? That doesn't mean anything. You're not making any sense. He's throwing away all of his peach pits. What? None of this makes any sense. Just say what you're meaning to say. He's picking his eggshells out of the compost, right? None of it. It would just if he would just say what he meant, but he can't do it. He can't, and it's so. It's just it's the hardest I've laughed this year. And if you would have told me a TV series, and I love the Ted movies. I own them both on physical media over there. I
Mhm.
love Seth MacFarlane. I think the reason Ted worked as well as it did is, and I love Family Guy still, but Seth MacFarlane, by his own admission, has not written a Family Guy in years. He wrote some of the episodes of Ted, and his humor shines throughout that show.
I think he direct every single episode.
He did. He directed
I
all
think he
eight
directed
episodes,
every
I
single
think.
oh yeah, every single one.
And his talent shines through in that in a way that I didn't. I mean, and I still watch Family Guy. I still laugh at Family Guy sometimes, but I miss. You can tell when it was an episode he wrote or he was heavily involved in, and he's not been having that level of impact. But man, Ted got me multiple times, and I just enjoyed it. So my best of includes Ted, eight
I
episodes.
You're absolutely right.
There you go. Peacock, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Peacock.
Yeah.
Don't Peacock.
And
James, I completely.
if they do a second season, I will be in line for it. I know. Seth MacFarlane said they'd have to come up with a real good reason to do it, but yeah, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I laugh so hard.
Hmm. Completely agree. James, Joe, what's your pick?
Well, I just on the line of TV shows, and then can we do our disappointments after that?
Yeah, if you want to do disappointments,
Well, I just really enjoyed a hell of I just blew through the Penguin.
Yep.
I mean, when I say it's the Sopranos light, I don't mean it as a knockoff. It can't be the Sopranos. It can't. I mean, David Chase. If you go watch that, and that was another thing I really loved this year was the documentary about David Chase and the Sopranos. Actually, a lot of stuff I like this year was documentaries. That's how you know I've gotten old. Back to where you're talking about less humor, but it just couldn't be, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good, and I'm superheroed out, and thank God there's really no freaking superheroes in that show. There's just one really terrible person we follow
Yeah.
who,
but also I think he's so terrible. But it's the same thing that I always say about the Devil's Rejects. Like on some level,
yeah,
he has had such. I mean, he is terrible. He is irredeemably bad. But you also there's enough plot in that show where you're like, but also he's never really had a shot.
yes. Well, I don't know. His mom and he with the after the sibling episode, it's really hard to kind of give him a l- I hate this phrase, and it's something I hear at work a lot or used to, but it's hard to give the penguin grace.
Yeah, you're rooting for him up until that point.
And
But
then, and then you're
even
like, oh, he just kind
even
of laid there with his mom.
yeah, but I yes, you're absolutely right. There is no redeeming him to a point, but I do think also the like I'm not trying to say he's justified because he's not.
No.
But there is something about that scene where they intentionally go down there and they know he can't get down there easily. They know that he has, he's got his leg, he's got issues, he's got that he can't do that. And, he even has that line, you're not supposed to do this. You're not allowed to do this to me.
Yeah.
But they still do it to him. That
Yeah.
doesn't justify their murder, but at the same time, that's literally, you they have not been kind to him either.
Yeah. The other TV show, if we're trying to wrap up,
Yeah.
it hasn't finished yet. But I've said for most of my life that I feel like you can tell any story you want to in a horror film. You just, you have the horror film, but you can tell almost any story. Probably same thing with Tarantino said it with Westerns. That's probably true. Most genres, right? You can tell any story you want to as long as you hit the points of a genre, but especially horror films. The one that I feel like, and it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but they are starting to prove you can tell any story you want to is in the Star Wars universe because they're making the Goonies right now or something similar to, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. If you've not watched Skeleton Crew, it's something you can watch with your kids. It's fun. Yeah, the first episode's it's slightly long, but it's fun. The kids are fun. They're funny, and their shenanigans ensue. And I have enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
My turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so Penguin, won't mention it. Joe just did a good job of explaining it. I really enjoyed Shogun this year. I know it got all the awards, but it deserved
Is
it.
it worth me actually dealing? Because it's not one of those top. It's not one of those that naturally attracts me to it.
I enjoyed it. It's Game of Thrones-ish in feudal Japan.
Yeah.
The Batman that they don't talk about that just kind of flew under the radar, and I just can't believe it did. Batman Caped Crusader on Prime, the new Batman animated series, was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the new takes on Batman and his villains. It was superbly done. I hope I get more of it. Um, but I do want to talk about Gentleman on Netflix, the Guy Ritchie show that was a spinoff of his movie that I also really loved.
I like that
Um,
movie too a lot, but I didn't. I thought you told me it was more of a kind of a remake of the movie,
I don't remember telling you
or
that.
maybe I misunderstood you.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that because it's not exactly like that at all. Um, but I really, really did like The Gentleman. There are some episodes that where it is kind of slow, but it ends up all tying together. So I really enjoyed The Gentleman. Again, it's just Guy Ritchie again because like you all said, the man never sleeps.
I don't. I truthfully, I don't know when he sleeps because he makes a lot of movies.
And I have one episode to go, and it's one of those ones I know when Joe watches it because I can tell um Joe's going to be pissed. I could just tell. Um, but so far I was up till 3 a.m. and I still have one episode to go on season 2 of Squid Games. But man, it's been great.
I still need to watch season one of Squid Games.
Oh, I thought you watched season
No, I've
one.
never seen it.
Holy shit, Joe. No,
It's just it. I still haven't watched the third season of The Boys.
wow. But season 2 of Squid Game so far has held up. I know I think it's getting mixed reviews right now. But man, I'm really, really enjoying it. It is really doing a great job between all the different characters that it's introducing. But I think it's going to do at this end of the season where it's going to do the same thing that's been pissing Joe off for the last 2 years. So we'll see what happens. I got one episode to go, but yeah, those are my top picks for TV.
All right, James. Anything else you want to talk about? Any TV shows you missed? Because you kind of did the TV.
Oh, well, did you want to do a round of disappointments and then do honorable mentions? You want me to just close it
Yeah,
all
let's
up?
do a round of disappointments. There was nothing. Well, there's a couple things that were dreadful this year, but there were several different
Oh,
disappointment movies.
I will do one, and I've talked about it before, but it's worth repeating. And my son wanted to see it, and he enjoyed it for what it was, and yeah, I could see that more if I didn't know the source material. But I've talked about it before.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're going with.
I don't know how Eli Roth did Borderlands. I don't. And again, that's not the cast's fault. I don't know if it's Eli Roth's fault. I don't know whose fault it is. But what I will say is,
You're
if
the
you're
one who paid the price.
if you're yeah, if you're adapting something, adapt it. It's the same critique. By the way, and this is my critique of anything you adapt. Like I will go back to Blood Rain
Yep.
by one of our favorite directors. Blood Rain's a video game about a vampire waking up and she kills a lot of Nazis, usually while scantily clad.
Right.
What did he do with that movie? There's not a Nazi involved. It's set modern day. It's blah blah blah. Again, if you want to do a modern day vampire film with a woman vampire, great. Just don't call it Blood Rain because
Yeah.
the people who are Blood Rain fans want to see. And that's what happened with Borderlands. I think, I mean, Borderlands it should have been hard R rated. The games are rated mature, violent, limbs flying everywhere while you sarcastically run your mouth. It's been proven franchises can be built on that. It's called Deadpool, which they adapted pretty fairly from that character. Um, so why didn't Borderlands do that? And by
Well,
the way, I
in
would have
defense of
loved.
Deadpool, that it's a once in a lifetime
Oh,
perfect
I
thing
agree.
too.
I agree, but I think so many
He was
people were,
born to play Deadpool.
yeah, but I think so many people are upset about Borderlands because again, you could have done a movie that way. Um, you could have done a Borderlands movie that would have been at least more authentic to the what the fans of the game wanted, and you probably would have got better reviews at least from the fans. But I think there was somebody actually, and I don't know how true it is, but somebody told me that it actually they were worried about how it's going to impact the sales of the next video game. And so when you adapt something and it sours the people so much on the source material that they don't even want to play the game anymore, I think that says something.
Yeah.
And again, somebody told me that I don't have the data to back that up. So I think that's one of my biggest disappointments because again, I should have at least been able to have fun. And I had fun because my son had fun. But if I would have seen it by myself, it wouldn't have been the angriest I've ever been in a theater. See previous comments on the film Ballistics, X versus Ever. But I would have been, well, what a blown opportunity. Especially because I think Eli Roth has talent. And I think obviously it's a talented cast. Kate Blanchett, et cetera, et cetera. Jack Black is the voice of Claptrap. Talented cast, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
That's my disappointment.
Man, there's so many. I'll tell you one, just simply for horror films. Do you guys watch Salem's Lot? There's like 3 or 4 good scenes in that movie.
I
Why
never
is that
got.
such a damn hard book for them to make a good movie out of? I mean, the original television miniseries is still better. I was so excited, I was so pumped, and I should have known it was sitting on that. But I was telling myself, oh no, it's Zaslav or whatever his name is. The reason it's been sitting on the shelf, for 2 years and yada yada yada. And it wasn't terrible, but it's just such. It's one of my favorite Stephen King books, and the cast isn't bad. It's just overall is just like a meh. It's not as bad as the
I
Rob Lowe miniseries they did on TNT many years ago. It's not bad. It's just disappointing. I guess like it's like Beetlejuice, just disappointing.
real quick on that, Joe. I think what makes that me even more infuriated about cases like that is that still got released, and I can't watch Coyote v Acme
Yeah, I
versus
don't
Acme.
know.
I can't. I mean, like, what was that?
Well, they
What was that?
dumped Salem's Lot on the Mac, so
Yeah, I know, but I mean, why couldn't they do that with Coyote? You know what I mean? Like, I was looking forward. They would have got my shekel. And by the way, apropos of nothing, I know we need to wrap up because I want to do an honorable mention or two. But did you all know that there was going to be a Space Jam type movie with Tony Hawk? He,
Mm-mm.
this is a true story. I was watching an interview with Tony Hawk that was recorded a couple weeks ago, and he made the comment. He goes, "Oh no, it was done. Space Jam came out, and they were like, oh, we need to do something else, and we don't want to go back to basketball, which I think, in retrospect, they shouldn't have went back to basketball. Um, we should do a different sport." And they approached Tony Hawk, and literally they flew out. He was supposed to go and compete. I mean, this would have been shortly after Space Jam. Um, and he had to go to like the World Games, and they said, "Well, we'll come meet you at the airport to sign the contract." And he said, "Sign the contract." Okay, sign the contract. They met him, and he goes, "I got on a plane. I had signed. Everybody was pumped. We're gonna make a Space Jam skating movie, and it's gonna be everything was lined out, and everybody was pumped. Everybody's happy. The executives were happy." And then I went and I competed and I won, and yay, everybody! And I was all pumped. And of course, I had a DNA about it till they got, till they could do their press release. And they got back, and they're like, "Yeah, it's we're not going that direction anymore." It was Looney Tunes Back in Action killed us. They decided they want to do Looney Tunes Back in Action first, and then when Looney Tunes Back in Action didn't hit as hard as they wanted it to, they killed the Space Jam with Tony
it
Hawk.
also didn't do any favors to Joe Dante's career.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well,
All right.
Anyway,
Chad?
sorry.
Or is that James?
No, that was it's. I've done my disappointment. Now it's time for Chad to talk about me. His
No,
disappointment.
my only disappointment, Joe just briefly mentioned it, was Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I was so looking forward to having another Beetlejuice film, and whatever we got was not what I was wanting at all.
I had
Yeah.
fun
I
with it. I'll
mean,
admit I'm the one, but I had fun with it.
yeah, it was just, I am done with nostalgia films. I'm just done.
Unless
Every
they're Ghostbusters, Chad.
Unless they're Ghostbusters, I'm just done. It's just, there's no point in them. I mean, just give me new stuff. There's no reason to bring back old stuff.
But what about
Um,
the Ninja Turtles? I like Seth Rogen's Ninja Turtles.
Well,
okay,
in defense of that, it's completely. I mean, it's still four Ninja Turtles, but it's a different take on it.
yeah,
It's
it's a different
very
take.
different. It's a very different take.
Yeah, and Beetlejuice, like I said, it was just there was, it was nothing. I mean, there was just so many plots going on at one time. Nothing made sense. It was so grounded that it was not a Tim Burton film. Um, I just had so many issues with the film. And then when I left, I was angry. I haven't been that angry since Justice League.
I wasn't angry. I just was. My mom and son both were walking out, and then my mom went meh, and then my kid went meh, and I was like, "Yeah, you're all three right." I'm sorry.
Well,
Meh.
my two daughters loved it, and like I said, that's all that matters to me is that my kids have that.
That's all that matters
Um,
to us. Is also your children.
yeah. So, but I was left going, Tim Burton could do better. So yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed scenes in it,
yeah. And I still, to this day, I still complain about all the Bobs. I'm like, why?
which is actually the part of the movie I like probably
It
that and
makes
Catherine O'Hara.
no
That and Catherine O'Hara. I like the Bob scenes. I just
the
enjoyed them.
the Bobs makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
That's the one thing out of all that. The
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe joke went on way too
Oh
long.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
That character did not need to be in that movie
It just, but
at all.
it's a one joke character, and
Yeah,
it just keeps, and he keeps doing it.
yeah.
The same joke over. Catherine O'Hara was way better than that movie.
Hmm.
She's the best part.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've rewatched it now two or three times because the kid still likes Beetlejuice.
And the fact that I know Michael Keaton's getting older, and he probably can't do a lot of stuff that he did back then. But man, he was just like kind of phoning it in to me for some reason. Oh,
Hmm.
anyway, that's
I was
disappointing.
I was hoping. My dream is that it would relaunch a Beetlejuice cartoon. That was my hope.
Yeah,
Because I love the Beetlejuice. My wife and I actually, and we talked about it afterwards because I enjoyed it for what it was. She had a list of critiques,
yeah,
which is fair, and she's right. Every one of her critiques will, you're not supposed to, if you're the only way you end up working at the agency is if you commit
Yep.
suicide,
yep,
and that's not honored. None of that's honored in the sequel, and unless we believe that her father threw himself into the piranha pit, which I guess he could have.
Yep.
Maybe he was starving and he did, but since it's not expressed that way, but it's all of her critiques are fine and accurate. I mean, as she was, I was like, I still had a good time with it. But I think it's because the Beetlejuice cartoon taught me to differentiate three different characters, and the fact that my daughter loves the musical, which is its own beast as well. So
Yeah.
anyway.
So, do you all have anything you're looking forward to in 2025?
What did we say in the other one?
What?
What did we say on the other show when we talked about this?
I have a couple things I'm
I
looking
have
forward to.
several, so I can go through my list.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I'll talk about the two briefly that I am really looking forward to. The Surfer. I know there's no release date yet. It's the Nicolas Cage film, where he's supposed to be going full Nicolas Cage. And I am genuinely looking forward to it. It's about a man who is assaulted on a beach in front of his son by a bunch of um, hooligans, and it's about his spiral after that. I'm also looking forward to Havoc, uh, um, which is again, the director of The Raid and The Raid 2. Why am I blanking on his name?
No, and it's not a terrible name to remember either, actually.
Yeah,
It's not like it's
Gareth Evans.
Garrison, yeah.
Yeah, it's a movie that he's had done for a while, but hopefully we're going to get it released this year. Um, but it's about a drug bust gone wrong, and Tom Hardy plays a bruised detective, and he has to fight his way through the criminal underworld to save a politician's son. And it's all takes place under one night, and it's just about him going through this brutal, basically gauntlet.
Yeah.
And I am so looking forward to that. The other films I'm looking forward to, um, Novocaine. Have either one of you heard of Novocaine?
No.
Yes.
It is Jack Quaid. Jack Quaid.
Oh yeah, I watched the trailer. It's in front of Nosferatu. Yes, I
It
did. It
looks
does look
fun.
funny.
It looks funny and phenomenal. I'm genuinely looking forward to it. Mickey 17. I
Yep.
cannot. Joe, you haven't heard of Mickey 17?
What is it?
It is the director of the Parasite and the host, Snowpiercer. I'm hoping one of you say his name.
Oh,
Bong Joon-ho.
yeah,
Bong Joon-ho.
yeah.
It's his next film with Robert Pattinson. He's what's known as an expendable. He goes on these dangerous journeys to colonize an ice planet. Basically, when he dies, a clone of him is then reproduced.
Hmm.
And it's about him just getting killed over and over again. But finally, one of him survives, and but then another clone gets produced in front of him by accident. It's supposed to be, and if you look at the trailer, it looks phenomenal. Um, I am genuinely looking forward to this. The dates is supposed to come out this year, and it just keeps getting pushed back. The date just got moved forward again, so hopefully we get seen it sooner rather than later. And then of course, Joe and I are both dealing with comic book fatigue. I actually do not look forward to any comic book movies at all now. But
Not even Superman.
that's what I was getting ready to say. I am genuinely looking forward to seeing Superman this year. And I'm not a Superman fan, but it is the kickoff of James Gunn's.
You used to be.
I used to be kinda, but I'm just not a huge Superman fan, and I'm tired of DC always relying on him to carry the DC universe.
It is a
Yeah.
bigger universe, and they don't. I think I agree with you. They've Superman and Batman does to death.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, there are so many amazing characters in your universe. Use them. And instead, what are they doing after Superman? Supergirl. God, do something else. There's so many great characters. But
I would kill for a Resurrection Man movie, and you could do that so many different ways.
you know me, I'd kill for something like uh I would kill for a Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Booster
Creeper.
Gold, the Creeper. Oh, that would make such a good movie. Um uh Man, I would love to see a Question or a Booster Gold film. That would be awesome. But anyway, but yeah, the Superman trailer looks amazing. And honestly, guys, I know he's getting a lot of crap for the way he looks, but Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, who has been, and this is not a joke. I don't think I've ever said this to you all, but he has been my dream Green Lantern casting for years. I mean, even when they first announced that they were making a Green Lantern movie, the Ryan Reynolds one, I wanted him cast as Green Lantern.
Well, because
Um,
and in all fairness, I've got to give him credit. People are giving James Gunn crap for it, but he got the hairstyle right.
Yeah, he did. He's got the original hairstyle right, but honestly, he was always my Hal Jordan. He wasn't. I never pictured him as Guy Gardner. He was my Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am genuinely looking forward to seeing this film, and I will be there. It is my birthday weekend, so I will be seeing that. Uh, but yeah, those are the movies I'm looking forward to so far this year, next year.
I've got a few, and I have one superhero film on the list, and as much as I would love to say it's Fantastic Four, I've been burnt too many times.
Yeah,
So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, but I actually am looking forward to Thunderbolts just because I love the comic series, even though this is not the comic series.
no,
But I love the idea of actually, to be honest, the
I'm just
best
happy we're getting the Century. I just hope they do him right.
exactly, and then I think that's compelling, and I do think David Harbour. That was the best part of the Black Widow film to
That
me
was the only good part.
was, and so returning to that and that, and so I'm looking forward to that. I know I'm a sucker for it, and it's not, but it's the only live action Disney film from animation. I wanted to see. I do want to see the Lilo and Stitch
Well, I finally saw
live
the
action.
like a snippet of it the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Abby, my daughter has already told me I'm taking her to see that, and I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to see it.
I know, I do, and literally, it's and I'm gonna
That's
go with
kind
my
of the one that
family.
makes more sense to do live action.
I
And that's
know it
it. I
does,
wanted
but
to
I just
see.
like, do we have the animated? Do we really need to see a re live action, the same version in live action?
That actually,
Um,
I agree with you. If I think you should just, they already know. It's like you don't. No one ever wants to see another Spider-Man origin story, right?
uh,
Or any origin story for the most part.
Yeah, I'm done with
I
origins. I
You
don't
could do
care.
another Lilo and Stitch movie and do it live action and not have to do an origin story.
Yeah, I don't want to see the same thing over again. Like with Superman, I hope to God I don't see another origin story. By the way, I do want to say,
I
oh
think
my God,
he's pretty much said he's not doing an origin story.
what? But hold on, one quick, because I can't believe I'm forgetting on one of my favorite character actors' names. Um, I am the Jonathan Kent, his dad.
Oh, the big guy in
Pruitt Taylor Vince. I
yeah,
can't believe they cat. I am so happy Pruitt Taylor Vince is Jonathan Kent.
he's a good actor.
He's a good actor, and plus, he looks like a farmer. He looks like he's not Kevin Costner.
Oh, well, you can't.
Or
It's hard to throw rocks when Glenn Ford. I mean, he's
oh,
always been played by somebody.
oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. We
Yeah,
actually got somebody who looks
yeah.
like somebody that would be working on a Kansas farm.
right. Is it Glenn Ford? Glenn Ford's in the original Superman.
I think so. I can't
Yeah, I mean,
remember.
he wasn't let's talk. He was a matinee idol. He's not who just happened to be in his a little older.
Yeah.
Um, other ones I'm looking forward to real quick. I said it on Good Movie Monday, but I'll say it again. I know I'm the one. Tron Ares, I'll be in the theater for. And then I don't know where it's going to go, but I love the concept of it being set in the 1930s crime of Chicago, The Bride. I kind of want to see The Bride. If you don't know what The Bride is, it's The Bride of Frankenstein. Um, Jack Gyllenhaal will play the monster, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And I forget who's playing the bride. But it's set in 1930 Chicago. It's supposed to turn the Frankenstein mythology on its head, and
Jesse Jesse Buckley, who I have no idea who she is.
much like we, and it's Warner Brothers, but much like you were talking about Nosferatu earlier, we've never got a purely accurate Frankenstein. This isn't going to be that either. But if we're going to turn it on its head, let's see what we can do. I'm kind of
Yeah,
looking forward to that too.
yeah.
So that those are things I'm looking forward to. So, Joe,
Well,
what are you looking forward
mine are
to?
really quick. I know we're running out of time. Mine are real quick.
By the way, did you say Jake Gyllenhaal's playing the monster?
Is it not who is it?
No, Jake Gyllenhaal, Christian Bale's playing Frankenstein's monster.
That's what it is. You're right.
But this isn't Del Toro's, right?
No, this is Maggie Gyllenhaal's
Oh, okay.
version.
Okay. So I think I used Del Toro's, and sadly enough, the three that I don't get as excited. I need to find joy in life. But the three that I have only seen the poster for one of them, and I liked Longlegs. We had a really great time with Longlegs. Osgood Perkins
That was
is
one of my honorable
Stephen
mentions.
King adaptation of the Monkey. I
Yeah,
want to see it because the poster looks awesome.
I haven't seen the
Sec-
poster.
the second one, it's the poster's even funny, Chad. It has a great tagline at the end of it. I'm not, no, it's like everybody dies, and that's not a good thing. It's it's kind of funny. The second one is, and it's the trailer looks okay, but unfortunately, I saw what the Wolfman looks like, and the Wolfman looks terrible. So, but I'm
Yeah.
waiting because Lee Wanell has not directed a movie I didn't. I think his
Um,
Invisible Man
man,
movie
yeah,
was great. Upgrade is great. I am doing this because I'm going to go see it because I trust people when they keep doing that. Lee Wanell's Wolfman, I
you've
want to
seen
see
the
it.
Wolf Man, but it was based on what you saw at a theme park, right? That's the one you're talking about, right?
But that's what he looks like in the movie. Universal said, no, that's what he looks like.
I know, but that you get give it.
I
Yeah,
said I'm going to go in and look at it, but I'm telling you
I
right now,
know.
I don't like how it looks, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
I wasn't too pleased either. So I was just like, ugh.
But I'm going to, the trailer looks good.
I haven't
And
seen the
they
trailer.
and they he did something smart like he did with Invisible Man. Instead of making $100 million Wolfman movie, it's three people,
Yeah.
and it makes more sense. And then
Hmm.
the third one, oh God, it's just because I didn't have any desire to see it, and I'm so sick of zombies. But that 28 years later trailer looks awesome,
Hmm.
and Danny Boyle's back.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it.
Well,
It's just,
the other two movies are so good.
yeah.
They're just good. And I don't. Nicotero argues that they're not zombie films, and honestly, they're. But I was like, I don't give a shit. It's just zombies, just the word you put on it. Of course, they're zombie movies. They're just zombie movies.
Yeah.
Rage,
I don't care that
rage.
they're rage or whatever it is. But I'm curious to see that. I didn't know the trailer was going to be that good. So the trailer looks great. Those are my three.
I've got one honorable mention for 2024 that I knew you all wouldn't be talking about anything from the genre, but before we wrap up completely, I do want to mention because, and you mentioned Long Legs was going to be one of them, so I only have one thing.
I had a good time at the theater.
I
I
did.
enjoyed that we went out and had dinner later. It was fun. And I
Yeah, it was
want to see
fun.
more Osgood Perkins movies.
Yep, exactly. But I wanted to mention because we do pop culture, um, video game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, maybe one of the things that has given me the most joy playing as this character,
God knows your
running through
kids didn't do it.
everything. I'll be now. This is true. My kids haven't got to play it because I refuse. I'm like, no, no, Daddy plays this first. Daddy doesn't. No, Daddy doesn't share. Um, but it wouldn't work as a film. But it is pure Indiana Jones. And what I mean by that is, as you're playing it, it's everything. The humor hits,
Mm-hmm.
everything's good. But if it was adapted, if you took this script that works so well as a video game and made it as a film, you would get the same critiques that people have thrown at Mangold's and Crystal Skull to an extent. But it works so well as a game. And in all fairness, playing Indiana Jones, getting into the entire thing, they bring back Marcus Brody because it's set earlier in the thing
Which you
in
can
the
do in a
time
video
period,
game.
which you can do. And there's even a great scene where Marcus is telling him, listen, Indy, you can't keep running from your problems. And it's set after Raiders. It's set about 6 months after Raiders and Marion, and we know from the later movies how that eventually ends up, because of Crystal Skull and
Mm-hmm.
Dial of Destiny. But and it's a great. I mean, even the way they stage it in the video game looks like a Spielbergian shot where he just slowly pulls on the hat and he goes, "Oh, watch me! I can run as long as I want to."
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves to go on this epic adventure and this epic quest. And it actually talks about why he goes from Marshall College to the college he's at and all this. It is, if you're a fan, it's so much fun. It wouldn't work as a movie, but it's one of the reasons why we need video games. And I read a review of this because I didn't want to read any reviews until I played it. And one of the reviews said, this is how Indiana Jones should continue. And as much as I would love to see another film or a series or something, I agree. I will buy every Indiana Jones. The guy that made this, the director of this, and I'm blanking on his name, but he also did the Wolfenstein relaunch. And if I'm wrong and it's some other one, forgive
Mm-hmm.
me, video game nerds. But he was obsessed with doing this. And it's like we've talked about filmmakers that are obsessed with doing something. Usually that passion comes through. It comes through in this. This is one of the best 2024 things. And I wanted to mention it before we wrapped up. I'll shut up now. We went long. But Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a lot of fun. And it's given me a lot of joy, and I'm still not done with it.
All right. Well, this has been Bonehead Weekly. I'm sure we missed some things out there that you're going to yell at us for. We have tons of guests lined up. Not true. We have tons of topics picked, maybe two. And we're going to just keep on going until one of us drops dead.
Probably me.
I think out of spite.
Probably me though. I mean, Joe's been trying to get me to start smoking, and he's almost got me sold.
I so
I love
much
how
so,
you said start smoking, not start coughing.
yeah, so much so that I've just started doing it again just to try to get you to do it, and it's just not working. This has been Bonehead.